What is going on, Busy Bariatrics? I'm Rob, your favorite VSG man turned bariatric coach, here to help you stop white knuckling your way through chicken, broccoli, and dietary meal plans, ditch the burn boot camps that leave you sweaty but still stuck, and finally fix the habits, patterns, and behaviors that got you here in the first place. Let's get gritty, let's be honest, and let's get busy. Real quick though, before we dive in, could you do me a solid and screenshot this episode? Literally nobody listened. So tag my latest history, share a little bit of love, especially today, because this one's not just a transformation story. It's a behind the scenes look at how Busy Bariatrics was built from the ground up by a woman who used to only lift 8-pound dumbbells. Today's episode features my amazing virtual assistant, my chief operating officer, and the queen bee who runs everything behind the hive and puts up with all of my craziness. She has taken my random musings from Google Docs and my spreadsheets and helped me turn it into a business that not only am I proud of, but that I am thriving and my clients are thriving. So now that I've given you the super long intro, Stacey, welcome to the show.
Hey, hi. How's things?
Yeah, every now and then, it's weird because, I could take this episode in so many different directions, but at the same time, I kind of just want to catch up with you and capture where we are at this point in your journey. So, why did you have bariatric surgery to start us off?
Well, the biggest reason was I didn't want to end up in a mobility scooter in a few years, and that really was where I was headed. I'm on my way to 60. I'm going to be 56 in a few weeks, and I had a bad knee, and I was at the point where I was having trouble getting around. So I knew that that's where I was headed, and so that was the big thing that really was the catalyst. Also, I had been on a trip down to Atlantic City, walked by a mirrored door, caught a glimpse of my backside, and kind of went, oh, yeah, kind of time to call somebody on this.
I think we all have either that one mirror or that one picture. I remember my daughter took one of me, and I was just like, oh no, I'm done. I cannot do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that picture, you're like, okay, I got to make a change. Why bariatric surgery, and how did it go?
Well, bariatric surgery had kind of been in the background, but nothing really where I deep dived into it. Honestly, it was one of those I would be willing to do it, and my doctor would always be like, "Let's try this one more thing." And I would always try that one more thing, and of course, it would fail because we now know that there's nothing that's ever given to how to maintain your results after you lose the weight. In December of 2021, a few months after I had my knee replacement surgery, my daughter had VSG.
That's awesome.
And when I asked her why she had VSG, she looked at me and said, because I don't want to end up like you.
That, not so much.
Well, no, it was honest. It was real. I actually thanked her for it because I was glad that she was able to share it with me. And it really it flipped a light switch in my brain of, you know what? She's right. I need to do something.
Can you kind of give a little bit in depth of what she meant by I don't want to end up like you? Because there is a very specific backstory that I think needs to be shared on.
Yeah, at that point, I was about 2 months out of total knee replacement, which I had when I was almost at my highest weight. I was probably around 280 when I had my knee replacement. I, before the knee replacement, really couldn't move around, would have a hard time breathing when I was going up and down stairs. We had just bought a house a few years before that. I would have to stop after even just trying to sweep a floor. I had stage 4 fatty liver disease. I was this close to, non-alcoholic cirrhosis. And she basically said to me, I don't want to struggle to breathe. I don't want to struggle to walk. I don't want to end up having to have my knee replaced when I'm 50 something years old. She said, so I'm doing this now.
I think it's such a cool level of realizing your daughter wants to make this change, and that inspires you to make this change. What was it like after bariatric surgery? So you finally have it, and how did your first couple months go?
Surprisingly well.
Why surprisingly?
Because no other weight loss journey ever had.
Okay. That makes sense.
And even though I had done a lot of research, as soon as I had made that first appointment with the surgeon for the consultation, I came home and dove headfirst into Instagram and started following everybody under the sun, including you. Started listening to podcasts, started really kind of figuring out the landscape of the bariatric support community, and followed the advice of fellow patients. It still was surprising to me that it was working.
I think it's when you have a history in diet culture, even for me, I think it's the same in bariatric surgery where I'm like, okay, so when does the self-sabotage happen? And then it didn't happen. And then I think I spent like 2 years where you're almost like looking over your shoulder of like when does this go wrong? And
Mhm.
it just didn't happen. Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, I still do sometimes. Like,
It's
okay,
weird.
when's the other shoe gonna drop? When is this gonna, like, when is it not gonna happen anymore for me? Especially because I was raised in the diet culture of like the late 70s, 80s, 90s,
For people who
where
don't get it though, like what were some of the things you went through? Because whenever you share with me, I'm like, oh dear God, this is like the perfect bridge between my mom's diet plans and my diet plans because you fall in between that range and it's kind of
yeah,
comically bad.
it's like, I mean, of course we all did like the slim fast, 2 shakes in a meal,
A sensible meal.
a sensible meal, but they didn't tell you what sensible was, just sensible meal. We did the pills, like the over the counter pills. We did like these Hollywood 3-day juice cleanses. Those were fun. I
They
did the
definitely cleanse you out and then you're just like, this is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I did like popcorn and coffee diets. I did cabbage soup diets. We did the Weight Watchers. We did the Jenny Craig's. I did the South Beach. I did I name it. Name it, I did it. And some to some degree of success, but never with any follow-up plan. And probably the most successful I ever was pre-op was when I took matters into my own hands and didn't follow a diet plan. Actually, for a while, went to the gym, got a trainer, learned the machines, and ate right, and lost probably 50 to 70 pounds and was doing really well. And then my youngest child had to have brain surgery, and I stopped.
That's got to be incredibly traumatic. What was that
Yeah.
like for you having to deal with that?
Well, for a long time, I decided that anytime I was going to try to take care of myself, I was going to be punished for it. So I stopped taking care of myself. And that, like right there, that to me was like proof. Like, don't do stuff for yourself because someone else is going to suffer. And I stopped. And after that, when we found out that Maddie needed brain surgery, I stopped. I was done. Didn't take care of myself anymore. Spent like a week in the hospital sleeping at their bedside, and at the hospital Panera Bread stocks the Ronald McDonald House parents room, and so it was lots of danishes and coffee.
Which good for them for doing, but also from a caloric standpoint, like I know if you put me in any situation where I have stress and I'm grieving and there's delicious food, it's just a bad cycle. What how much weight did you gain during Maddie's brain tumor?
I can tell you I gained the entire 50 to 70 back and then some.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I at at my highest I hit 305. And that was, I mean, that was well after Maddie's first brain surgery, because Maddie had two brain surgeries in their life. The second one in 2020. I hit 305 in like like probably early 2021. I hit 305.
So you hit 305, you then get your knee replacement, you then go for bariatric surgery. Bariatric surgery starts to work.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you think I need either a trainer or that you wanted to find out about busy bariatrics?
Well, I knew immediately after surgery that as an older woman, I was going to lose muscle fast. Like that was a given, from all the research, from listening to podcasts, from listening to you. I knew I was going to lose muscle fast. And so I started with my little dumbbells in my home gym in my basement that I built immediately after bariatric surgery because I knew I was going to need it. Like, bought myself a treadmill. My nephew gave me an elliptical. I started buying little dumbbells and threw a TV in there and started just doing like YouTube workouts. But no structure. Just like, let me just find YouTube workouts and start just lifting weights. And then you were doing the live podcast from Philly with Kelly and Mel. And I watched that. I DM'd you. And I think I DM'd you about, it was either about that or it was something you were on that I DM'd you. That I was like, hey, that was really great and informative. And like, it was something like that. And we just started talking. You were like, have you ever thought about actually having a coach? And I was like, yeah. And I think by the end of that weekend, I was already your client. Like, I was just like, here you go.
I still remember because you were one of 3 clients that I signed in the same day. I was up in the Poconos and we were messaging back and forth. And I'm like, look, I'm coming home Sunday if you want to kick the tires around. And there was nothing back then. Like, we had no website. We had no landing page. It was literally like, oh, by the way, do you want to give your money to someone from the internet and work? And we had 3 people sign up. It was you, Erica, and then Amanda came in all on the same day. And I still remember your call specifically because you specifically told me, I'm pretty sure I'm done losing weight after bariatric surgery. And then you also were like, I have 5-pound dumbbells and I might be able to use the 8 pounds if we get to it. What do you think?
Give me credit. They were 12s.
Were they 12?
I showed you. I was like, listen, because you were like, what do you have at home? I'm like, let me show you. And I actually literally took my phone and we went in the gym and I like showed you around and I'm like, here's my dumbbells. Here's the 12s. This is as high as I'm ever going to lift. And you gave me that snarky laugh and you went, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I knew it was actually, I really didn't know because I thought like maybe you would just be like a 12, maybe a 20-pound dumbbell person. And the cool thing with working with you is every time I would get in a one-to-one, you would have questions, I would give answers, and then you would just do it and report back like a week later of like, hey, down a pound here, or lifting heavier here, or pushing a little bit harder here. You then kind of had like this cool experience where you've been to every live event that Busy Bariatrics has ever had. So you were at the first retreat where I spoke at San Antonio. What was it like being at San Antonio and the first time that like we had Busy Bariatric clients all together?
That was very cool. That was very cool. And actually before San Antonio, we met at JBY in DC.
Was that? Oh, you're right. That was before that we did JBY.
Yeah, but back then I was just straight up I think I was just a newbie client back then.
That is true. So that March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, you were only with us 6 months at that point. So
yeah.
We were at JBY.
Yeah.
I may have given you the business card to go buy drinks at one point, but it was you've always not only like been good at helping me out, but we then kind of saw in San Antonio, like we all did a group lift together. And I still remember you doing pull-ups and you thought you could only get 6, but you were still talking through them. What kind of happened?
I didn't think I could get any. I didn't think I could get 6. I looked at you and said, I can't do that. And you're like, get up there.
And I think it was funny because we got you to like a set of 8 to 10 assisted pull-ups. And I still remember we were at the formal at bariatric retreat, and I turned to you and I'm like, Stace, I think you got to get out of the home gym. I think you got to get into a real gym. And you were like, man, I don't know. Like, it costs money. And I'm like, it's $29.99 for the Planet Fitness membership. How did your fitness journey change from going from a home gym 12-pound dumbbell person to now lifting heavy and pushing yourself in the gym?
Well, I mean, I am 100% a gym rat now. You know, from recently, and I'm going to jump the story a little just because it's relevant. I had plastics, so I was out of the gym for about 4 months, and Rob and our awesome programming coach Lisa programmed me a nice recovery workout that's 12 weeks long. That was all home based with dumbbells and body weight and stuff. And about 8 or 9 weeks into it, I got to our one-on-one and basically said, "Get me back in the damn gym because I can't stand this. I need to get back in the gym." That's how bad I missed that. So that kind of shows you what my love for the gym is like now. I don't know what I would do without it. It's not only where I progress physically is where I progress mentally. It really is.
And I think what was also cool was where so many people say, like, hey, I'm not going to work with the trainer, or I'm going to pause the trainer during plastics or revisions or anything else. You stayed with it, and it was, let's make a clear plan to bring you back. Let's make sure that everything else is paced. And then, really, even in the early days, we had you with some heart conditions that we had to go through cardiologist testing with.
Yes.
So, what was it like working through cardiology tests and still getting into the gym and prioritizing your fitness?
Well, I mean, it's having the coaching in place showed me that things like that don't mean that you stop cold. There's always a pivot. There's always something you can do. There's always something you can do physically. There's always something you can do nutritionally, mindset wise. You pivot and you continue to move forward. Without the coaching in place, that's not something I would have done on my own. Like, I would have just curled up on the couch and been like, poor me, I've got this cardiac thing. But we incorporated yoga. You know, we made sure I got my step goal. We made sure that I did my mindset stuff. We made sure my nutrition was dialed in. So there was 100% value in continuing on, even if I couldn't check all the boxes that I usually did.
If anything, I think the coolest part was we checked the right boxes, because when your cardiologist or the doctors would come back and be like, well, we don't know if you can do this, you'd be like, no, we already hit our like zone 2 heart rate at this. And like, we had full data from all the work we did to show, here's what my diet looks like, so that it's not really a diet issue. Here's what my heart rate looks like during cardio, which showed that there was an underlying condition and everything. And it was fun because every time the cardiologist would come back and be like, well, we need to check on this, it'd be like, okay, let's build the plan and rebuild it. And eventually we found everything that we needed to get you to where you are today. So what does it look like today being in Busy Bariatrics from a client perspective?
Oh, it's a whole new ball game now. It's been a joy as a client to watch the growth. It really has been. We've gone through just a handful of us and a WhatsApp chat, kind of cheering each other on and having you kind of run around and do all the things to a big bunch of us with all kinds of wonderful things in place that we do for our clients and that I get to benefit from too as a client.
I think it's fun because you remember the good old days when it was literally just me and I was making content. I was sending out emails. I would be doing programming. I would do form checks. I would do the nutrition adjustments. I'd have to run the back end of the business and make sure everything was good. And I remember we got to a point where you, in your ever so kind way, were like, Rob, your grammar is atrocious.
So yeah, you were sending out emails, all right. Uh-huh. Yep.
So yeah, but it was a fun point because like it would literally be my ramblings, and it literally looked like my ramblings. And there's a reason why, like maybe some people opened it, but also why people would unsubscribe, because it was literally whatever came out of my head and went through. And one of the first steps that you really came into was you started with editing and revising my copy for the emails. Why was that so important to you to kind of help me as a client?
Well, first and foremost is because I, with my whole heart and soul, believe in Busy Bariatrics. I just, full stop. I believe in what you do. You are an amazing, amazing coach. You're an amazing businessman. You're an amazing person. You truly want to help this community. You put your heart and soul into everything you do. And I wanted to see that fly.
I will remind everyone, Stacey is not on the clock right now,
Yeah,
so she
no,
doesn't know
I'm not on payroll right now. Just like, um, but you sure as heck wasn't going to do that with those emails.
Yeah.
And I am a word nerd. I'm a communications major. my bachelor's in communications. I'm one of the proud editors of my school newspaper. And
As was I, which made Stacey almost jump off a roof
yeah,
after she did.
I literally fell out of my chair when he told me that. And I was like, what happened between then and now? And when I saw some of those emails, all I could think was, he's never going to get more clients with this crap, is basically what I said. And I messaged him one day and said, who's editing your emails? And he said, no one. Are you volunteering? And I said, I absolutely am. I'm like, because you're never going to get more clients with this. Like, this needs to be polished. And he was like, have at it. And that's literally how it started.
I think that's kind of one of the coolest parts of Busy Bariatrics is so much of it started just unpaid, of people believing in the program, believing in what we were doing, and like, well, how can we get this better? And that was always the best part of having you from day one, was it all of a sudden I had a sounding board of how can we get better? And you had a really cool ability to see it as both a client, but also as the editor of, here's where my vision is and here's what a client needs. What were some of do you remember some of the early changes we made when we started building out the program when you came on?
There's been so much. There really has been so much that we've done in so short of a time. Like, I was actually thinking about it. We're coming up, like, next weekend is the infamous, and I'm going to say it so that I don't have to take the shot, is the infamous photo shoot weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Next week is the first anniversary of the infamous photo shoot weekend.
For the record, though, everyone, this is going to be dropping at the end of August. But yeah, it was photo shoot weekend was kind of the first parts.
Yeah. It's why we started having the talk about, you're going to need help and possibly bringing me aboard. So we're coming up on a year of me actually being, like, next month, probably as this drops.
Oh my goodness.
Right before this drops will be my year with Busy Bariatrics as an actual employee.
I think it was one of the coolest things because I was shooting a commercial for those of you just listening, and there was just so many moving pieces. We had our biggest summer camp ever. I had 44 clients by myself, and most of them one-to-one, which was incredibly overwhelming, which meant that like I was doing about 20 hours of one-to-one coaching, anywhere from 20 to 40 hours back-end coaching, while coordinating, like, the videographers have to be here, the professionals are here, we had to book a private gym, we had to get locations, I had to do wardrobe, I had to de-hair myself, which is like a full process between my back, shoulders, and everything else. I know, don't worry though, nobody listens to these episodes.
It's so great, and it was a whole thing.
It was everything. And then Stacey volunteered to come down to help out and assist because we needed some demo clients to come in, and she shot the most amazing testimonial of what Busy Bariatrics was. And then at the post-wrap party, I started drinking. We then went to a lovely dinner where I continued to drink. And then I was kind of like, oh, by the way, I kind of need someone to do this full-time. Would you do this? And you were kind of like, yeah, I'm good for this. Why were you crazy enough to sign up for that?
Again, I want to see this fly. I want to see this, like, grow and grow and grow and grow. And I fully believe in Busy Bariatrics. Like, I say it all the time. The day I signed up, it feels like the day I came home. Like, this is where I belong. And so, like I tell you all the time, you are stuck with me, buddy. You are just absolutely stuck with me.
It's a good stuck because I think when you look at working with me, it is a little bit crazy because I fire off, there's no filter. Like,
no.
The completely unfiltered part of here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm feeling, here's my direction. As someone who's edited my words, my emails, and probably even my brain at this point, what's it like trying to translate my chaos into clarity?
It's fun. It is fun. I have had to learn to speak fluent Rob-ese, fluent Italianese, fluent Jersey-ese.
Which it's sometimes, so people don't know, it's like all caps sometimes is Robbie's, or it's just fragmented sentences.
Oh, yeah.
Italianese is no true noun descriptors, so I will tell Stacey things like, you know that thing I told you about that person? I need you to go back and redo that part we said we didn't want to do. And Stacey just goes, and like kind of knows 90% of the time what it is or what I think it is.
Or I'll guess. I'll be like, when you say that thing over at that place and we have to redo it, did you mean? And he'll be like, yup. And I'll be like, okay, good. But I've learned I've learned to speak his language. I've learned to edit in his voice, which is kind of a cool thing. We kind of almost share a brain now, which is kind of scary sometimes, but
It
it's
is
really cool.
it is scary, but it is cool because like it's one thing I think people don't understand. Like writing copy is very difficult because it's a little bit different than writing a blog or anything else. Obviously, we are trying to sell coaching, but also teach, but also show my lifestyle. So Stacey will get on the phone with me and just kind of listen to what is going on in my life. And then she kind of takes that and is like, how can we make this teachable moments? Have you always had that ability to like write as other people's voices, or is that something that's come on since joining Busy Bariatrics?
A little of both. I really hadn't done a lot of writing in other people's voices. I've just always written as me for kind of, kind of for fun. I always enjoyed writing. I always pictured myself as being a writer at some point. I always wanted to like write a book or, you know, do stuff like that. But actually writing from someone else's perspective, yeah, that's all you, buddy. You're the first one I've really deep dove into that for.
It's a tough challenge because getting into my mind, you realize there's a lot more space up there than most people think. And
And
it's
it's
funny
full of stuff. It's full of stuff.
if I've been told one thing throughout my life, it's that I'm full of it. So I think we can both agree on that. But it's been cool because a lot of the times I always say, like, a phrase I use with the clients is you're only bound by the limits of your imagination. And the coolest part is I kind of just dump my imagination to Stacey and literally flip it over and are like, what do we have here? And then Stacey kind of puts these pieces together. And the coolest thing Stacey has ever built was the hive. And this actually started way back in March of, I want to say 2023. I was at Edison and we had just started using some new software to house all of our material. And I was like, I think I have the ability to put together a library, but I just never had the time. Then summer camp kind of went bananas that second year, where it was like I have too many clients and then it was too busy. And it was always this back burner idea that I eventually told Stacey, like, look, it actually came out of being cheap. We were running out of room on our Zoom account and I wasn't willing to pay for the next tier up of storage. So I told Stacey, you need to organize all of these things somewhere. And what was like some of the first ideas you had when I told you to do that?
Well, I really wasn't sure kind of how it was going to shake out because you really didn't like, you had kind of a concept of what you wanted.
Very raw concept.
Very, very rough concept, but you had like no framework of how you wanted it to look at all. So right after I actually came on board, you were like, all right, so I want to build this thing. I'm like, okay. You're like, I got all the recordings and I want to build out this thing that we'll have forever that people can watch these videos and we're going to organize them. And he just started giving me spreadsheets of
Oh my God, I
how he
forgot how
wanted,
bad the spreadsheets
yeah,
were.
like these spreadsheets of this is the how I want like the videos and this is how I kind of want them organized. And I was like, okay, let me figure out how we're going to do this. And then he's like, I think we can build it in our CRM. And I was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll start poking around. Well, a
The
couple
other
of
fun
months.
part of this story, if you're listening, is I the caveat Stacy is very gently forgetting is I kind of gave her all this and was like, by the way, by my calculations, I can record like 4 more videos before we run out of space and can't do this anymore. So you have a month to figure out where are we going to house. At that point, it was close to an 80 video library. You need to organize it in a way
Mhm.
that bariatric patients
Yep.
could understand it because how we used to do our community calls were solely based on whatever issue I kind of as a teacher was like, I've said this 5 times, I want a recording so that we have it. And then in the original days, Stacey took the entire thing, all the videos, organized it into a Google Drive, and then I would just bark. Like if I got tired of seeing something in the group chat of people don't understand how to like pack their lunches, I'd be like, Stacey, drop the video of packing lunches in there and how to do this. But slowly we started to realize we could put this all into like the same software that we use to house like all our client information, everything else. And Stacey started to assemble essentially all of the videos into order. And what was that process like when we finally got it to like, let's build it as an online course?
Well, I mean, that was cool because it was something I'd never done before. So getting to kind of poke around and actually do the building. At first I was like, I don't even know where I'm going to begin on this. But like just starting with getting the videos downloaded into the Google Drive. Like that was cool, and just getting them organized into the folders, like kind of getting that like that visual of, all right, this is kind of what we want the progression to look like, was good. And then about 3 months after you gave me kind of this, this directive, I got COVID. And
Oh my
if you
God. I
remember,
forgot you were like kind of shut down during this entire
yeah,
time.
'cause I got COVID because you were like, big picture, I think that, like we could probably get this done just before next summer camp, which like would have put us at like March or April of like this year, maybe. I think it was. Yeah. So last October, I got COVID and I couldn't work my full time job because I do also work a full time job. So I was kind of like stuck on the couch with my laptop. And I'm like, let me poke around and see what I can do with this. And I literally built out the entire thing in like 5 days.
It was comical because while Stacey's doing this, I'm coaching clients, I'm teaching a full-time thing. We had been bringing Kylie, our assistant coach, on, and we're building the team, and we're still attending bariatric retreat. We're still getting stuff together for Just Be You. We're still getting our summer camp together. And Stacey was just like, "Oh, I think I figured out the whole system." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think I built it." And you showed
I
me how
sent him a
you,
screenshot.
and I was like, "Oh my God, you had like 80% of it complete, where we just had to get the graphics to Michelle, but we had essentially built the Busy method based off of how we just organized video. Like that's really where the Busy method even came through was, all right, here's all our videos on like habit building for bariatrics, and that was the B. And then here's everything you need to know about like macros and nutrition. That was the U for understanding nutrition. The S was like, here's how we progress our weights and everything about workouts and lifts. That was the S. And then the Y was just like showing up for yourself and life skills. And then you kind of took it and it just kind of kept morphing and evolving to the point that like Stacey would even be like, you're short on these types of videos, or you don't cover this, or you had a pulse of what the clients were talking about very well, and being like, Rob, we need to teach this now. We need to teach this in 3 months from now. And we started to build out this entire program, which became the Hive and what we have today. Meanwhile, we realized like we had to do the same thing for our assistant coaches to learn all the styles of how I was coaching. And you helped direct how we were going to build our coaching platform. So now we actually train coaches based on the organizational structure that you've put into place so that they understand what we teach from each standpoint and do that. Why was it so important to not only keep the learned information of the Hive so well, but also so that other coaches coming in could qualify and do so well with it?
Well, I mean, coaching a bariatric patient is a whole very specific thing. And then even more specific is coaching a bariatric patient in Busy Bariatrics, because we're a level beyond, honestly. So having that resource for a coach who is going to be coaching within our hive, it was super important so that they could go in and not only initially learn our methods, but have something that they could have forever to go back and refresh themselves on. And just like the clients do, the clients, if they, if they kind of forget about how to secure the bag. They can go back and watch that video 12 times. We wanted that same resource for our coaches, so that if they needed help with, warming a potential client on social media, because you don't just cover how to coach, you cover how to warm, you cover how to set up your marketing. Like, there's so much rich content in there that a coach can go in and watch over and over again if they need to.
So when you look at building both of these programs, and it's really a testament to you, because I literally just spit, I record, and then I hand it all over to Stacey and go, what would you say is the part of the Hive you're the most proud of?
The part I'm the most proud of, honestly, is the reaction from the clients. It really is. It really is. Like, I can click and move and do everything all day long, and that's fine. If it functions, I'm happy it functions. But to have someone post that, it's helped them, that they've learned so much, that they're glad it's there, knowing that I was able to help with that I was able to build something that helped someone else on their journey. It's all I need.
I have to tell you, I was so afraid when we launched the Hive, because there was a level that, like, in order to get information in Busy Bariatrics, you kind of had to ask me. And so the Hive would, our private chat would buzz all day long of, how do I hit macros? How do I do that? And it would either have to be like I'd have a counselor or an older client explain it, or I would voice memo it. And then within like a week or two of launching the Hive, like, the communication changed entirely different, where it wasn't even needed off of me, because we would see people go in and we could see the activity, and clients would come in and they would just start absorbing and knowing. And the questions got better in the group of, I watched this video and I had a follow-up question. And it's been cool because it's gotten quieter, I think, in our group chat, but it's also gotten more fun, where we can really direct to, it's in the Hive for everything now becomes the answer to everything, and you can look up the exact video. When you have it at this level, you should be so proud, and I'm so proud, because I never imagined we would get to this place, and you probably excelled Busy Bariatrics faster than anything I could have done. When someone first logs into the Hive, what do you want people to feel?
I want them to feel empowered. I want them to look and be like, wow, I can learn a lot here. Like, if I have a question, if I need to know something, it's all right here. And I have the power to guide my journey.
And I think that's just, it's such an awesome place to be. And I just love when new clients sign in and they get their login and password, and we see them take off, and we see them shoot up on the leaderboards, or we get activity notifications that they've leveled up to a different level. It's just such a different level of learning that's going on, and our clients are coming in sharper, faster, more knowledgeable, which I think makes it easier for our assistant coaches as well as for the community to get through. If there is a future client who is kind of watching all this and says, how do I become the next Stacey? What advice would you give them?
Learn as much as you can. Absorb all the information you can. There's a lot of it out there. Take the information. Take what is going to help propel you on your journey. Ask all the questions. You're capable of so much more than you think you are. So learn and grow and get it done. Get it done. Get busy.
Yeah, I love it. So let's get to the lightning round. Let's go through our questions and see
Let's
how
go.
we do. Have
Let's
you listened
go.
to the podcast, Stacey?
Only every single episode.
It's also awkward because Stacey gets like the behind the scenes talk with me and everything else. If anyone's had to consume more Rob content, it's probably you're at the top. So let's go through and see how we do. The B's for building habits. What's the best habit you built since joining Busy Bariatrics?
Pre-tracking my food.
Awesome.
Because it makes it so much easier when you're not at the end of the day wondering how you're going to get all that protein in that you need all day.
Love it. And it's always funny because we get pushback a lot of either the protein amounts that we give certain clients, but it gets amazing results every time. So it's like one of those, I don't know what to tell you, but we'll keep it going. The U is for understanding nutrition. Best lesson you've learned there?
That you can fit anything into your life. We're just going to call it life. You can fit anything into your life depending on the season and reason, as long as you pre-track it.
Love it. Favorite way to stay active?
You know what I'm going to tell you. Lifting heavy.
Love it. Best way you've shown up for yourself since joining Busy Bariatrics?
Advocating for myself more. Setting my own boundaries, finally learning that it's okay to take care of myself.
And I think looking at the beginning of this conversation where you are now, not only are you taking care of yourself better, but you are showing up for so many other people in the best version of you. And that's really like the proudest point. There is also the exclamation point, healthiest form of dopamine. What do you go to?
I'm still going to go back to my music. I love random dance parties in the kitchen. I love driving down the highway with the windows down and the radio blasting and singing off key at the top of my lungs. Yeah, music. Music's always going to be my dopamine. Going to a concert, like that's always going to be my dopamine.
I think we both agree that we both love to sing and are both not the best at it, but we have the most joy when we do it together. Okay, so final question as we get done this. If you could write one message, and she actually can, because she is the admin status even higher than me. If you could write one message on the Hive dashboard that every client sees, what would it say?
Your journey is never going to be a straight line, but keep walking.
Love it. All right, Busy Bariatrics. If this one hit, that means it's time to stop collecting awareness and start applying action. Don't just nod along. Go prove to yourself that you're coachable, consistent, and capable. Somewhere, leave me a comment on the episode on Spotify about what you're actually going to do now that you've heard this episode. And as always, keep getting busy. Thanks again, Stace.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.